Hello, everyone. It's Donna Marie, and welcome. I'm excited to present this whole life discussion with Claudette Reams, Chief Visionary of W.I.S.E, Women Inspired by Self-Empowerment, LLC, an organization that focuses on guiding women to awaken the woman within. Claudette shares all about W.I.S.E, how it got started, and she also shares how to deepen your relationship with God. We talk about her end of life and legacy plan and so much more. Claudette Reams, born in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Yes.
All right, Kenosha, Wisconsin. You're an advocate, a mentor, and the chief visionary for the Women Inspired by Self-Empowerment, W.I.S.E. I invited you here today. One reason I'm always highlighting people, particularly women who I believe are living their best life of well-being. And well-being, it's really just living a life that is balanced. Not that we always are balanced, but a life where you are grateful for all that you're blessed with, and you're living a life that reflects that gratitude. I've been around you. I don't know a whole lot about you. And so this intimate conversation is an opportunity for me to get to know about who you are, Claudette Reams, and a little bit about what you do.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for this opportunity and thank you for your platform. Wow, a little bit about me. As you said, I'm from Kenosha, Wisconsin. Again, Claudette Reams. I am 52 years old. I'm proud of that. I am single. And yeah, first and foremost, my relationship with God is so important to me. I totally believe in being a well-rounded woman. And I take that seriously, and I take being balanced serious. Yeah, I'm just, I feel like a, a regular person that's just trying to do the very best that I can, and to help everyone else to do it along the way with me. I don't know. It's just me.
Well, thank you for that introduction. And I want to say what's also very impressive is the giving back part. I have seen you giving back. But before we go on, there's something I really want to say, and that is thank you for your service. You served in the U.S. Air Force for, is it 21 years?
21 years.
21 years.
It's still unbelievable.
So 21 years is a major accomplishment. What made you join the military? And then how'd you end up staying for 21 years?
My mom made me join the military. I was kind of rebellious growing up. I didn't graduate high school on time because I was cutting up, hanging out, skipping school. Yeah, skipping school and everything. And my mom was like, you need to do something with yourself. Either you need to get a full-time job or you need to go into the military. And that's the option that she chose for me. And I'm thankful for the opportunity. It was the best decision that she could have made for me because I was definitely headed nowhere. Everybody sees the refinished Claudette, the one that you know today, but I have not always been this way. Again, I was in the streets, drinking, partying, whole 9 yards, just doing my thing. And my mom was not having it. And I'm thankful that she was not having it. So yeah, and as far as staying 21 years, during the time it went kind of slow, but I'm still shocked that it was 21 years. And once I realized that I could retire at 39 years and get a pension and have some benefits, I was like, okay, that sounds like a plan for me. So that's how I ended up doing the 21 years.
And thank you for your service, serving our country.
Thank you.
I tell people all the time, what you do as a veteran is you relinquish the rights to your life. I am so grateful to see like beautiful, feminine, lovely veteran women, and there's blessings in the bag. And I remember the first time, and I'll let you tell a little bit about what blessings in the bag is, but I remember the first time you mentioned it to me, what you said to me is, I don't really publicize it. This is something I do from my heart. So tell me about blessings in the bag.
Goodness, yes. Blessings in a bag was where we would go out and we would feed the less fortunate on the streets of DC. And actually, it was something I was extremely passionate about. And again, not just me, it grew into me and my friends. And we would just go out and provide like a potluck dinner to the people on the streets of DC. Again, trying to give the very best that we could give. Like we would get catered food, or people would bring the best that they could. But when you put together everybody's little portion, it comes out to be a really nice spread for everyone, because I do believe that everyone should have a balanced meal. And I would always think about, if I was on the receiving end, what kind of a meal would I like to receive? And then also, since I was trying my best to represent God and to show love to everyone else, I think that they deserve the absolute very best. Not knocking what anybody does, but I'm like, I'll serve generics to myself, but I'm not going to serve them to someone who doesn't get a meal all the time. And again, one of the things everybody would always say, hey, why don't you do nonprofit? And I'm like, no, because it's easy to spend someone else's money. It's a sacrifice when you give the best and it's your own, and and you're not looking to receive anything back.
Yeah. The beauty of it is also that you have pulled others in, and they are also sacrificing in that way. You have served over 5,000 meals since between 2012 and 15.
Yes. Blessings in a bag I'm no longer doing blessing in a bag, and I do still give, but now I'm actually doing W.I.S.E and feeding people in a different way.
What brought you to the DMV?
9/11. I had been my whole military career. It seemed like I was trying to get to the East Coast, almost by any means necessary. But then after 9/11, a lot of jobs opened up in the Pentagon, of course. And then that's how I ended up moving here in 2002. I relocated to the area and was working at the Pentagon.
Here we are, 2022. When did you start W.I.S.E?
Oh, I started W.I.S.E 2020. It couldn't have been last year. Was it last year? No, that is crazy. No, it hasn't been, it'll be 2 years in February. So it's been like it seems like it's been longer than that, but it's just been
2020.
Yep, during the pandemic.
Yeah, so now what happened during the pandemic to make you want to start this whole business and cater to women? And one thing you say in your bio that I want you to explain is that your organization focuses on incubating women to their fullness. So hold that part, but 2020.
When the pandemic first started, especially being single and here by myself, I really had to hone into my relationship with God, because I could have gotten lost. I had all this time, because I used to be so busy ripping and running, doing this and doing that. But I really had to get focused. And I remember praying and asking God, like, this pandemic, all this free time can't possibly be in vain. And I asked him, what am I passionate about? And I was recognizing that so many people were going through different things.
Yes.
And I recognized that I was passionate about my relationships, and that I wanted to not only just to be, I wanted everybody to be the best version of themselves, and what could I do to help with that?
Mm-hmm.
And I just started praying about it, because I'm thankful that I've always had like great relationships, and I've always wanted to invest in helping people. And that's kind of how it stemmed. And I was like, God, what is my purpose? What am I passionate about? And the thing that he showed me, that I was passionate about my relationships. And during the pandemic, since I had some extra time, I did a lot of walking. And remember, during the pandemic, not very many people were driving. So when I would walk, all of a sudden I could hear the birds chirping, because of course they didn't have to compete with the smog and things like that.
A similar story.
Yeah. So as I started walking and I was praying, I mean, really genuinely praying, like, what is my purpose? What am I passionate? And what am I supposed to do about it? That's when I felt like God was feeding me. So my walking time became an extension of my quiet time with God. And I could see how W.I.S.E was developing. Once I started realizing that it was more than a passion that was on the inside of me, the very first thing that I know to do is, the scripture says, in all your ways, acknowledge him and he'll direct your path. So that's what started happening. So it was like one day I just started writing a mission statement. Then the next day I wrote like a vision statement. And I remember sometimes I started having conversations with people while I would walk. And like I remember having a conversation with, I'll say it, Keisha McGee. And I was telling her that, hey, I was thinking about starting a women's organization. I said, I just want to pour into women and for us to be better. And I told her about the name and she was like, you need to get that patent. So when she told me that, that's exactly what I did. So now notice I got a mission statement, a vision statement, and now it's patent. And then I was like, oh, snap, I think I need a logo or something. So what I did was I sat down, I came up with the name W.I.S.E. And then I looked up a flower, and what the flower, the iris flower means wisdom. So that's where the flower came from. So I was just started praying about every aspect of things. And that's how W.I.S.E. started developing. And it really has grown and it has morphed into something different than what I initially started. I think that whole aspect, everything of it, what came from God, my relationship with God, and just praying about it and trying to figure out what I'm passionate about, and him just leading the way and me trying to follow it as closely as possible with the instructions that he gave me or the people he sent to help me.
Let's get back to the incubating. I don't know what that really means, that you're focused on incubating women to their fullness. I love the way it sounds.
Yes. And it's so important to me because what I think about is when a baby is in an incubator, that baby has to be nursed before the baby can go home. So what I try to do with W.I.S.E. is to not just talk about topics, but just to teach about topics. And that's what empowers a woman. And when she gets empowered, she gets stronger. So that's what I mean. Like, we'll have different topics, not just one topic, but to make sure that that woman is, whether it's finances, whether it's getting fit, whether it's like when you came on to help with their well-being, it's like the whole well-rounded person. And that's what the incubation is. You just stay in there and get as much information as you can, and that's going to help you to be a better and stronger person. And just like when the baby leaves, that's how the woman will go. She'll leave and she'll be better, but she stays in that, as much information as she wants to learn, she just keeps dialing in, checking into W.I.S.E, and she can just be better and continue to grow. And that's the incubation that I'm talking about. And so many people can hear information, but the key to growing wise is when you apply what you're learning.
Exactly.
And that comes with the application.
All right. I love that. I love that for so many reasons. Not only the incubation period where, a woman who develop, yes, she's there, she grows, you created this community. So through your community, women are there to support one another. And then as you stated, it's a holistic incubation. So you're not just getting one-dimensional information. It's to make sure you're a well-rounded person. But as those women get stronger, they go out and they help other women. So you create this ripple effect, and I will say, I've attended a few of your W.I.S.E events. I love the topics, learning about makeup, how to wear your perfume. And the vision board event I attended was really phenomenal. Honestly, not just phenomenal because it was a large number of women, but the women were all very engaged, and they brought their best. And to me, that's kind of representative of you. You bring your best, and so you cause people to allow their light to shine because you're shining your light, so to speak. And every event I've attended, I really, really enjoyed it. I will say that I've enjoyed it and I've gained something from it, and appreciated the women who were not just speakers, but those who were in the audience as well.
Yeah, and it's thank you.
You're welcome.
And what's so good to me is each event is so good to me, and it's so good for different reasons. Like I always have my own individual takeaways, and one of the most important ones is a safe space. And there's a safe space, like when you talked about the vision boards, because we also know that when you share your dreams and your visions and your goals, you can't just share those with just anyone.
Right.
So I was thankful for everything that was shared, and that's to know that she's doing it. And another thing about W.I.S.E that I love, and God is holding me accountable to. I can't just myself, I can't just teach I can't just teach or have the platform for the topics. I have to apply them to be the witness. Otherwise, I would be kind of hypocritical.
Yeah.
So this really is bringing out the best version of me, whether I was ready for it or not.
So on that note, can you tell me what is the most valuable lesson you've learned or gained from your W.I.S.E presentations?
Oh God.
I know I don't put you on the spot.
I know because there's two. There's two. I think one of the most valuable ones was our series that we did where we had the male panelists.
Mm-hmm.
And it talked about I Stand Before You Naked, which was a series on transparency, because I learned so much about myself. And I didn't realize that in my relationships with men that I was not transparent. And I was not transparent out of fear of losing them. But now that I've come into my own and I recognize that I am who I am and I've accepted who I am, either they're going to like me or they're not. And if they don't like me, it's okay, because God has someone better in store for me.
Yes.
And there's so much freedom in being honest and transparent. I don't have anything to be ashamed of. But not everybody deserves that vulnerability.
Yes.
And as long as once I trust that individual, I can be honest with them. And again, it's okay, because I've accepted who I am and I'm comfortable with who I am. In any area of my life that I'm not comfortable with, I'm working on it. And I'm okay with that. But there's freedom in that.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite words, is an anchor word, freedom. Yes.
And another one that was important was one that I actually taught. Oh no, see, Donna, I can't keep it to two.
Well, let's keep it to two. You did tell me about the one you did, and you sent it to me. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but I don't know why I think I was on it or a part of it. Maybe I listened.
It was the same one with the red lipstick. It was my very first one.
I was there.
It was yeah.
And we talked about this because why is that so valuable?
Yeah, it was so valuable because I was when I had committed to having the launch date, I knew that I was going to talk about how to hear from God. And I kept praying and saying, God, you have got to give me the material for this. Like I kept trying to write something down and I just couldn't pull it together. But then it was like God said, tell everybody how W.I.S.E came to be, because that was literally me. That was literally me hearing from God. And I just described the process of how I heard from God and how I felt that he was feeding me, because I had never been a business owner before. I didn't know the first thing about a business. I really was just trusting and trying my best to listen to God. And even when I might not have heard him, I still just tried my best, and God knows my heart. And on the launch day, that's when I was so stunned at how everything really just came together. And I could see, even to this day, I can see his beauty in it.
Hearing from God. And I know that, and I don't know if you still do this. I assume you still do this. Wake up at what, 4 a.m.? I don't know if it's 4 a.m. I might be making that up.
It's 4:20. It didn't start out that way. Like my quiet time initially started out for like 5 minutes. Then it grew because I would get up at 7 o'clock. Then I started getting up 6:30 because I needed a little bit more time. Then I started getting up earlier because I needed a little bit more time. Yeah, but that's what works for me.
Yes.
I'll get up in the morning, wash my face, of course, and then I'll get some coffee, because what I recognize is that I need some coffee. Otherwise, I might doze off. Yeah, but that is my time with God. And I just start out with gratitude and thanking him, because there's so much to be thankful for. And then I'll reflect back to my previous day and maybe conversations that I've had or things people have shared. And I pray about those things. People might not even realize that they said them.
Yeah.
And then I'll also think about anything that I may be going through or addressing that day, or anything that's concerning me. Um, Anything, because there's a lot. But the thing about it is, I try my best to not complain, because I have a God to talk to. So I give him my cares and my concerns, anything that may be stressing me or I'm worried about. I just literally, like, I journal and I write those things down. And then I read. And one thing I want to give a good example, because a lot of people always say that they don't feel like they hear from God. And someone gave me a wonderful example. Like, say, for example, Donna, you and I are talking and having conversation. Um, I like, if you were talking to me and I wasn't looking at you, I would recognize your voice.
Mm-hmm.
But I only recognize your voice because we've had conversations and we spent time together. So God is the same way.
Wow.
The more time that you spend with him, the more you'll recognize his voice. But if you don't spend time with him, you won't recognize his voice. But that only comes through an intimate relationship. And the more time you spend with him, the more you'll recognize him. Does that make sense?
And that makes absolutely good sense. And the reason I brought that up about hearing from God is because I don't recall, and I could be very wrong, but I don't recall that being a part of normal conversation when I was a young person. And I am so grateful to be around young people, especially, who are able to express to others how they hear the voice of God, how they're guided by God, and how you can share advice with others on how to develop your own relationship with God. And it's very simple. In order to hear the voice of God and be directed, you got to spend time with and develop a relationship with God.
Definitely do.
And then after spending that time building a relationship, ask the questions and expect to be guided, because
and listen.
I love that. Yes.
Yeah. And another good example that someone gave me is like, say, for example, if you're walking away from me, and I yell Donna, but again, before you turn around, because we've spent time together, you would know that it's my voice that's saying Donna, because we've spent time together.
Right.
But then again, a lot of people might say Donna. So you want to spend that quality time with him, so that you really recognize his voice and that you know that it's him that's calling versus another person calling.
I love that. You're single, you don't have any children, you know your worth.
Yes.
You are a child of God.
Yes.
And so a couple questions before we wrap it up. And these questions are regarding your legacy and your end of life planning. And so in the event that you are incapacitated, have you designated and had conversations with someone you would want to take care of your finances if you're not able to on your own, or to take care of you and make decisions for you medically if you're not able to verbally do that for yourself?
Yes, and I need to designate an alternate. Actually, you had me thinking about it. And I hate to, I won't say I hate to think about it, because it's reality. I had one person designated, but I need to have two, because it's my mom. But if something happens to my mom, I need to make sure that my sister knows what my wishes are and understands them. But I definitely need, I thought a lot about it. Since you asked the question, I thought more about it. Because those are real conversations and it's inevitable.
And so for your home and everything, you got all that piece mapped out, like who gets your house, your car, and so you have your medical and your financial power of attorney.
Yes.
Great.
And actually, a majority of these conversations came when we had our insurance person talking with W.I.S.E, and my family members were on it.
Oh, good.
But I'm thankful for it, because we had never had those conversations.
Yes. And many of us don't. And one thing I try to encourage everyone to do is not just have the conversation one time and tuck your paperwork in your file cabinet. The conversation should occur more than once. Some people say annually. I think it should happen more than annually. And if nothing else, you need to be looking over your paperwork to make sure that the wishes you have for yourself today align with the way your life evolves in the future. What I would also recommend is, if you do make any changes, have conversations with all of them at the same time. And whatever
That's a great annual conversation.
Yeah, it really is. And
make some updates.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, thank you.
The reason that's also good is because it helps you all to normalize that conversation. It helps you all to recognize that one day I will die. Many cases, we are not ever really thinking about our end of life. We do think about it, but we don't actually, we don't talk
about it.
Right, we don't talk about it. We're planning our careers, we're planning our vacations, we're planning life. We might fill out a paperwork, we might do an advance directive or something for our death, but we're not really spending any time thinking about it or talking about it, because it's not a subject we want to think about. So normalizing the conversation is really helping people to come to terms with it and to recognize that more and more we need to talk about death. And also, for me, it's important for me to consider how I want my body disposed, and to make sure everybody knows that if you want to be cremated, I want a natural burial. I think we had this conversation. I don't want to be embalmed. I just want to be placed in the ground. I want to nourish the earth as my body decomposes. And I don't want to do any more harm to the earth than we've already done. So I don't want to be embalmed, and I don't want to casket. There are many, many options today, like cremation and burial are not the only two.
During the pandemic, I thought a lot about it because I'm being here single.
Yes.
Yeah, being here single, and who's going to take care of me if something happens to me?
Yeah.
And when you say circle of love, I definitely believe that I would say it would be my sister Marilyn would. The same with who I feel would be responsible for my estate when I go. I would first, like I said, you definitely got me thinking about an alternate, because it would have been my mom. But I need to think of an alternate two people, my mom and my sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely thought a lot more about it here during the pandemic and getting older.
Yeah.
And being single and not having children.
Yeah. So, okay, good. I'm glad you have thought about your end of life plan and that you have your paperwork in order. There are a lot.
And they have copies.
I want to talk about how you want to be remembered, your legacy. And I know W.I.S.E already is part of your legacy, but there is so much to legacy. And so I just want to explain this a little bit. Legacy isn't as much about how you want to be remembered, but it's more about what you're leaving in the world. And so you're remembered because of something you said, or because of your business that continues to live on. The mission and the vision continues to live on, even when you're no longer here. Blessing in the bag, the lives you touched, even though you might not know any of those people, that's part of your legacy. And so I guess my question is, what do you want to leave when you're no longer here?
I want my family to be closer. It'll happen this year. Because it's just me and my siblings, and our family is small. But I would like for us to, like, over in November, like around the Thanksgiving holiday, I would like for us to start annual traditions. Just to do something the day after Thanksgiving annually, and for there to no longer be, I don't know who my cousins are. And the plan is for us to start with the family members that we do know, And we'll start this year, and then the next year it'll just continue, and then there'll be more family members. But we have to start somewhere, and it's going to start this November. But I want my family. I don't want any more of my family members to not know one another, because I have a different father. I did not know who my siblings. We not know my cousins or anything like that. So I've decided to embrace the family that I do have and that I know, and we'll take it from there. And there'll be no more, who's my cousin? No, if we know about the cousin will be there. But definitely I want my family to be closer and to know one another.
So your legacy, what you're doing now is taking the steps to create the reality you want to continue to exist when you're no longer here.
That's it.
And I love that, because that's how death can really help us to think about how we want to live our life. What you just said is, when I'm gone, when I die, this is what I want to leave. Because this is what I want to leave, this is how I have to live.
And this is what I'm going to do.
This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to live. Exactly. And so I think that's really beautiful, because when you came to this conclusion because of whatever experiences you've had, but you've also decided that this is the legacy that you want to leave. And so you're thinking about your death, but you're also thinking about how you want to live. And as a whole life death doula, that's all I want. Mm-hmm. So no, I don't want us to just think about our death, but allow thinking about our death to inform what we need to change, how we want to live, and to recognize that we can do it. And your vision is not for yourself. And so when you're no longer here, what you're giving will also be what you leave. So let's talk about the vision of W.I.S.E as it relates to your legacy and what you'd like to build right now and leave in the world.
Actually, I would like it to go to the younger generations. I really wanted to go to younger generations, because I could not imagine being equipped with that type of knowledge in my 20s. Just learning about like finances and tax deductions, being transparent, how to hear from God, how to be impeccable with my word, how to not take things personally, how to not make assumptions, to care about my body. I just believe that that's so important for young women to know. And then to also, again, not just talk about the topics, but to teach about them, and for the women to share them. Like, if this could get in the high schools or the junior highs, I just think that would be life-changing. That's what I would like to see. That's what I would like to leave behind. And then to have the younger generation, them teaching it. So definitely not just for our generation now, but for the younger generation.
And I stand in agreement with you. I think everyone would agree that that's definitely needed in our schools and with our younger community.
The vision is to establish W.I.S.E as a premier women's platform that equips and propels women to excel and achieve in all facets of their lives through signature programming and initiatives that support opportunities that drive meaningful change.
Therein lies part of your legacy. Do you realize that?
Yes.
Yes. And so you are a couple years in. You've already created a premier platform. You have an extremely, I'm not going to say extremely, because I don't want to exaggerate too much, but for 2 years, you have a large following of women.
But it's not even 2 years yet. It'll be 2
right,
years.
It's not even 2 years yet. It's not in February, so that's a ways off.
It's like we're 1 year and like 6 or 7 months.
So yeah, women love what you're bringing to them.
We only get one life.
Yes.
We only get one life, and we have got to make the best of it. We have got to intentionally set out to be and to do better, because it's not just going to happen.
It's not just going to happen.
Not just going to happen. Mm-mm.
I will say also, to add to that, we got to be intentional to helping people to see, because as we've already, yes, as we've already stated,
because I'm convinced it's not just for us.
Right.
It's not just for us. It's not just for our families. That's not it. It
Right.
goes beyond the walls. It's and one of my favorite scriptures is we are the salt of the earth. Every single person that we come in contact with should be different, and it should be a positive change. Every single person.
As we begin to wrap up the conversation, tell me what's next? What's coming up next with WISE?
Yes, we're going to have some more male panelists. This time it's going to be a man's perspective. So we're going to solicit questions from the ladies. You submit your questions. They will be asked anonymously. The panelists will get those questions in advance so that they can prepare and to answer those questions to a majority of the women. We want them to speak the truth, and this one will be available to men and women to attend. We want us all to grow. It will be online, and it will be Wednesday, the 28th of September at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time via Zoom.
I will look forward to that. Can you share with people how they can find you on social media or any platforms? Share, where are you? Where is WISE? How can they find
WISE is on Instagram, and on Instagram, it is Women Inspired by Self-Empowerment. And then on Facebook, it is WISE, W-I-S-E, and then Women Inspired by Self-Empowerment. Or you can check out my LinkedIn, Claudette Reams. That's where we are.